What's happening, everybody? Juan here out in the garage. And hopefully I don't break anything along the way. As always, something has to change when I'm doing this. So, work it out. Because I'm super excited about it. Love it when a plan comes together. All right, well, I guess I'll get a little bit more serious about this now. I pulled the bike in and put it up on the lift. It's just I was getting tired of being on the floor. It's too cold, and I'm too old for all that being on the floor stuff. I got the battery charger on it now, so I can give it enough juice for the air ride to work so I can get it lifted all the way up. I put the stock front wheel back on for now, just because I didn't want to ruin my nice 26 in that clamp up front. Because, yeah, no sense in ruining the rim. Anyway, so I'm out here. I got to weld up some stuff. But, yeah, once it's on the lift, that means things are getting serious, as if it wasn't already. Here goes nothing. I made some adjustment to the bags to get them a little more level when the bike is all the way down. I think I've got my rear end height where I want. So now I'm going to cut out all of that that's marked out there, which will allow me to tip the fender down forward. And you see right now how it's down. So what'll happen is when I finish it, this will come up, and then those lines, these lines coming down will match. So the front of this is going to drop down. It'll basically pivot right here. The back end will come up, and these lines will flow together, the fender and the bag. At least that's the hope. All right, get to cutting. Basically up to about here. I'm going to cut this whole center section out and redo it just at a slightly different angle. And I'm going to fill in that spot because on a Harley, that's where the shock tower is. And I don't know why when I did the fender and extended the front up there, I don't know why I didn't fill that in. So when I redo it, I'm actually going to go ahead and fill that in and make it solid as well. So I'm going to change the look of it just a little bit, not terribly, but I want it to work better with the bags. I want the alignment along the edge here to be better than it was. And so that's the way I'm going to have to do it. Tons of fun. All right, broke out the foam, went ahead and sprayed. I'm gonna let it set up. That way I can come back and form it so I can redo that whole front part that I had originally done and then some, even farther back this time, because now I've actually got the lines that I want going down the back side, which I didn't have before. And it's actually even longer now. It's going to be about 2 inches longer than it was before, I think. She's just going to be a beast. When I measured, I think she was right around 10 feet and some change from end to end, something crazy like that. But anyway, so going to let that form up, settle, all that good stuff, and then I'll come back and use a hot knife or sandpaper and razor blades or all of the above. We'll see. And once I get it shaped, then I'll glass it over. All right, out here trying to shape the foam for redoing the rear fender. I got to get another can because the one can I used the whole thing and it filled up underneath the can, underneath the fender and everything. So I need to get another one so I can fill in this space here, fill in this here so I can get a nice taper. And I've just got to come up with my shaping once that's all dry. Just trying to figure out if I want to go with this style where you see the top of the fender comes down and then it curves up so it maintains a similar silhouette to this, or if I want to do like this and have it follow more of the contour of the fender that way, It'll still have a slight drop down there, just not quite as much as this. And then of course I need to throw some more here and then shape it down so that it flows into the fender, so that when I glass it, it'll be a smooth transition. So, you know, I'm not in a rush. All right, been out here with the cheese grater, aka rasp, shaping this thing. I think I'm gonna go with some putty or Bondo or something like that to get that to smoothly transition. Granted, it's gonna be glassed over anyway, but I want to make my life as easy as possible. I got to bring the seat out and put it on so I can figure out what I'm going to do with this front edge. I don't think it's going to come this far forward. I think I'm going to cut it and kind of slope it down or something like that. But yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll have to fill in this area and kind of build it up so that's a smoother transition to the OEM Fender. It is going to have that rise there because my seat is going to sit right in there, and I don't want it to, if I have a passenger on here, which probably won't happen very often, I don't want it to be butt on pad pressing down and then legs actually on fender. At least this way it's raised up a little bit, and so butt cheeks aren't sitting directly on fender when on the seat, and then legs of course will come over the front. But that's where it is right now. And what I didn't do before was this opening right here, which would be for a shock tower for a Harley. I didn't fill that in, so this time it's filled in, and I'll glass over this whole thing and make it flat across. But so far so good on shaping it. I think that'll work quite nicely. And it's even all the way around. Woo woo. All right, that's 3 layers of fiberglass and resin on there. All the red and silver you see under there is the duct tape that I use to keep the fiberglass from sticking to it, or the resin from sticking to it. So I will trim all of that out. But now you see I've got it coming all the way down to here. It's going to be cut way up here, but you know, I made it longer than I needed because that way I can cut off to where I actually do need it to stop. But then that's it. It actually looks like a furry little animal laying there. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to let that cure, and I need to go about finishing up shaping this, and then I will tackle redoing this fender. And what I decided to do was mold it around the seat. The seat will sit in there and the fender will drop down. And I don't know if you can see the shape here. That is the shape of the seat when it's sitting in there. So I will mold it around the seat. It's gonna be nice when it's done. All right, well, hope you can hear me with my mask on, and probably look crazy as all hell with my hair. I've got everything all masked off. I've got my fiberglass that I'm going to use cut and laid out, at least for this first 2 or 3 layers. And it's all set up here. I'm getting ready to go ahead and mix up my resin and go ahead and start laying this sucker out. So, see you on the flip side. All right, first 3 layers on, and that's molded to the shape of the seat. I know it looks kind of sloppy right now. It's hard to tell because it's still wet and shiny. But I think I'm going to go ahead and let this one set up tonight. Then tomorrow I'm going to come back and put on a layer of that thick weave, not just the stranded stuff, the actual weave, which is like, I don't know, 2 or 3 mils thick. And that should give me a nice solid surface and solid foundation. Then all I have to do is clean this up, put the body filler on to smooth it out, blend it into the fender there, and she will be ready to go. And you know, I got to finish with the extended tank up there. Clean that up. I'll probably do it all at the same time. That way I can do all my sanding and stuff at once. But not as terrifying as it was that first time I did it. All right, it's been a week, I guess, maybe longer, I don't know at this point, since I put this stuff on. It's set up. It needs to be sanded and all that good stuff. You can see how uneven it is there, but you know, that's something that'd be smoothed out with sanding and body filler. You see, I got it molded to the shape of the seat that's going to go in there. I wasn't going to, but I think what I'm going to do is still put on. This is like 3 or 4 layers of the chop strand. You can see all the chop in there. This is that thick weave that I used last time. I think I am going to put it on the sides, top here, and then just a little bit in here. Maybe just a touch across here to give me an easier build up, because you can see I have to level that out, and I don't want that to be all body filler. So I may put some of that thicker weave glass there and on the front there, because it wasn't flat, and so the fiberglass didn't mate there. So I'm gonna sand that down, clean it up a little bit, and then run some glass over it, this stuff over it. But I think it'll give me a smoother surface to work with. It'll get rid of some of the imperfections in there. But overall, I am not disappointed with how that came out. All right, so I went ahead and put a couple of layers of the woven mat as opposed to the stranded mat on top. So I put some on the side, put a little on the top, a little on the back edge to kind of fill out that transition. On this side, put some more here just to strengthen that part of the fender that's going to be attached to the original fender, because it's really only going to be held on by these 2 bolts here, and the rest is going to be formed. And of course, again, it's molded to the seat. So I'll let this set up overnight, come out tomorrow, sand it down, put some body filler on it, smooth out that transition from there to there, and trim off the excess up there, and we should be good to go to get this back fender and bags all set up. I'll prime the tank, fender, and those, and man, then it's off to the races to figure out what I'm going to do for the paint. But that's where we are with the redesign of this back fender. All right, still a little more work to go, but getting closer. Excuse me. Got to cut off this portion that I glassed in on the extended tank to get to the actual front of the seat. Unfortunately, now the seat is stuck down, and I haven't put on my cable release that George Dump had sent me, and my key's acting a little crazy, but that's all right. That's no big deal. That'll come off. So I've got to do a lot of sanding, filling. As you can see, I molded it, or excuse me, I shaped it so I could mold the seat to it, but it's sitting up a little high right now. This pin needs to go down into the fender, because that's what's going to lock the seat on. And then I've got to shave all that down so that it will actually sit down on the top of the fender, or down into the fender instead of on top of the fender. But started shaping the bottom here. I left that square there so I could actually get to the bolts. Still form this so it drops down in the front, doesn't just like end abruptly. Same thing on this side. So yeah, she's coming together. Now I got to do a lot of sanding, get this smooth, or actually knock the little pokey things off here from the fiberglass. Put my body filler on there and smooth it out, and she will be golden. Nice. All right, I just put what I hope is my last coat of resin on my newly redesigned fender. Still needs to be sanded down to shape, so I'm going to wait until this resin cures. Hopefully get to it tomorrow. As you can see, like I said in the other clip, it's molded to fit the seat. I think I'm going to have to work with that a little bit to make it a nice fit and look good. Not just, you know, have the seat go there, but actually have it look good sitting in there. Did some extra reinforcement here since there's a particularly dramatic transition from the original fender angle to what I created. But once I sand that all smooth, it'll hopefully disappear. but that's going to be much better, support the fender much better, and of course it's got the angle that I want and need to match up with the bags. So we'll see how it cures, sand it down, smooth it out, and get her primered and ready for paint. Doing a little sanding and shaping, trying to get her where I want her. That way I can get back to where I was a long time ago, prepping for paint. Well, while I may have thought my last coats of resin were my last coats of resin, the only thing that is constant is change. You've heard me say that a bunch of times. What I decided I wanted to do, at first I was trying to bring this side down to match this side, and I actually want to flatten the top portion of the fender a little bit, so now I'm building this side up. So you can see the additional fiberglass I've got laid in there and a bunch of resin on there. So now it's pretty darn close to where I want it to be. So once that dries and sets, I'll go ahead and sand that down smooth, redo the whole bottom end of the of the fender, and I'm going to shoot it with epoxy primer, reshoot the bags. Then I need to sand and prep the lowers, fender, tank, which I also did some fiberglass work on, side covers, get that all ready for paint. And in this box is all of my stuff that I've gotten to do my custom paint. I've got interface pads and sanding and pigments for paint, and this is metal flake. I've got crushed glass, I've got a spinner to do my gold leaf. Boy, oh boy, all kinds of stuff in here. Tape for me to tape off from my graphics, sanding discs. This is water slide paper for some special custom stuff I'm going to do. Can't even see my little, just a ton of stuff to do. There's my airbrush setup down there so I can airbrush my stuff. Then over there is just all kinds of paint stuff, sanding stuff, body prep stuff. A whole lot more to do, but now I'm kind of coming down to it. I won't say that the finish line's not quite in sight yet. There's a lot to do with the paint. I think just for my taping for the paint is going to be probably about 6 to 8 hours just for taping off the graphics, and then I actually have to do it. And that's after I shoot the primer and base coat and probably an inner coat clear on it before I even get to taping that off. But she's coming along, coming along. Oh, so dusty and dirty. I feel so bad. Treating her so bad in here. Anyway, coming along. All right, tonight was a continuation of Bodywork. So I've gotten the tank mostly done. Got to go over it with a finer grit of sandpaper to smooth it out. This is just the 80 grit. Actually, I think that's 60 grit. So I need to go through and clean that up, clean all this up. And I got my epoxy primer on the way. About 85% done with the fender. She is smooth as a baby's bottom. I did 60 grit. I didn't even go through the grits. I went from 60 grit straight to 1,000 just because I was, impatient, as I usually am. But I will go back through it and go through. I got to do some work here and here, and then at the front where I had to create how it was going to drop down at the front. I got to go through this and just get it exactly the way I want it, because this is just something completely different that I made myself. And I want it, I'm not sure if I want it to slope down then drop, or if I want it to be rounded all the way down. Not sure yet. I'm going to probably have to test fit it with the seat to see what is going to look best. So yeah, got a few places to work with here. But other than that, looks really good. The line flows really good all the way up and around, and it's even on both sides all the way around. So that's good. So I will go ahead and Finish up the prep for that. Then I gotta scuff the lowers, and I gotta do one bit of body prep on the fender, and that's right here. I had it sitting behind my lift, and I raised my lift all the way up and didn't realize how close it was. And the back of the lift, the back corner, actually hit the fender when it was sitting down on the floor. But that and that little piece right there are the only real body prep for the fender. And it's the only thing that's metal. I'm going to use epoxy primer for everything anyway, but I really only need the epoxy primer for the metal. And that's not even bare metal. That's painted black. So theoretically, I could get away with it. But I'm just going to go ahead and use epoxy primer for the whole thing anyway. And ooh-wee, then I'm going to get to painting. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's where I am tonight.